Hello and good afternoon. It is Saturday, April 26th, 2025, and we're here to talk about Captain America Brave New World here on the MMMS, as we call it, the Mary Mater Marvel Society. I'm your resident Mater, Dave Mater. And joining me, of course, is the new Falcon himself, Davan Skelhorn.
I am the new Falcon. I think I can do it. I think I can do it. I don't know if Joaquin is quite up for the job. I'd like a shot at it.
Well, you know, he had a rough go in this movie. We're going to talk all about spoilers. If you have not seen Captain America Brave New World, we're going to be jumping into it. But before that, Jaemeel Robinson also with us. Hello, Jaemeel.
Hello, everyone. Salutations, friends. How's it going?
Now I want Jaemeel to tell us what MMMS stands for, because for a while there, I was the only one who could do it. So
it's a tongue twister.
It's the Mary Mater Marvel Society.
Nailed it. We must be getting old in this.
I find it harder to say the acronym, like the letters out. You know, when I go MMMS, and I'm like, how many is that? Too many M's? And I kind of just.
Oh, well, you can just go.
That's probably easier.
Welcome to the.
We're waiting for the Crash Test Dummies to finish their
sounds like a
theme song version, their remix of our intro. They're working on it.
Guys, we're here to talk about Captain America Brave New World. And as I mentioned, it is April 26th. This movie came out February 11th. So we're getting here late to the party to talk about this.
Well, I only saw it last night. So.
Me too. I just saw it last night too. I was waiting. I was like, I wanted it to be fresh when we.
I saw it opening weekend.
I should have. It's hard to get out.
Jameel's seen this 2 months ago. Davin and I, it's fresh. It's brand new.
Very fresh.
It's in our mind. So we should have some interesting perspectives. Jameel's had more time to sit on it, reflect on it, think about it, you know. And as we said, spoilers. We're going to be talking all about this movie, you know. But it's still in theaters. I saw it in my local mini theater here, CineStars, for I don't know, it's like $4 to go to that theater. It's not the biggest screen, but it's not bad. So Jaemeel, do you like this movie? Is this a good Captain America movie? I've been dying to ask.
Okay. Is this a good Captain America movie? So we've had 4 Captain America movies. I will say that this is the third best Captain America movie.
It is.
Or it could be the second worst, regardless of how you'd like to approach it. Now, the way that you asked that question, though, could be taken into various types of interpretation. Are you saying it is, out of the movies that had the Captain America moniker on it, was it the best movie, or where does it rank amongst those movies, or was it the best Captain America starring movie?
Did you have a good time with this movie? I guess this
is going to be a long podcast. I have a feeling I both have a lot to say here tonight.
I think I think the conversation kind of is thing. So it's no secret that this movie has a lot of problems, and that problem started well after the initial filming of this movie occurred. Right now, when did it start? I would say it started in production, because there's issues with this movie as well. I do like the idea of the movie, and I like some of the concepts that were presented in the movie. Mm-hmm. The execution, on the other hand, leaves much to be desired. But I still had a good time watching this movie.
Okay, and have you only watched it the once?
No, I've watched it fully from beginning to end once, and then I've watched like parts of it throughout the course of like the months.
Okay, and Davin, okay, you know, it's both fresh for us, as we've mentioned. This was not great for me. I got to tell you, how was it for you?
Not great for you. Why was it not great for you?
I was just sort of bored largely with this movie. I was kind of not invested emotionally a lot of the time. There were some ideas I liked. I kind of liked the villain they brought back from Incredible Hulk. But on the other hand, I'm watching it with Jane, and she was like, "Oh, that movie," and she was like, "That was 16 years ago. I don't quite remember that." And of course, that's Ed Norton playing in that movie, and it's William Hurt in that movie instead of Harrison Ford. So there's kind of like a little bit of a disconnect there, just I think over the passage of time. And this
you don't like the new look?
This is almost like an Incredible Hulk sequel, more than it is a Captain America movie in some ways.
It's a sequel to that and to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like a convergence of these two plot lines, storylines, bunch of characters.
Okay, well, you're sort of bringing me to my main point. I think about this movie. I like this movie. Jameel's right; it is the third best Captain America movie. And for some people,
third best,
it'd be a number 2. Yeah, it's not Winter Soldier. It's Winter Soldier is like the best Marvel movie probably. But
okay, so your ranking is Winter Soldier with second place.
Captain America 1.
Oh, see, this is why I like Davan. Thank you.
First Avenger.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a good
it's
movie.
The best of the origin movies. Like, yes. I mean, Iron Man's really good.
So you like First Avenger more than Civil War?
Yeah, Civil War is not a good Captain America movie.
I like it. I like.
It might not be a good movie.
I like it is a good movie in my opinion, but it's a better movie than this movie for sure. No. I put Civil War as my number 1 Well, I put it over Winter Soldier personally. That's my personal ranking. I go Civil War, Winter Soldier,
truly madness.
Then First Avenger, then this new movie, Brave New World. Is currently it's only been a day. Maybe over the passage of time, perhaps I will upgrade it, but I don't think so because
this is a funny comment.
I would like to clarify that the city of Philly caused more damage to their city after winning the Super Bowl than the Red Hulk damage did in this movie. Red Soul.
What does that say about you Philadelphians?
As much as I have to lull at that or LOL, depending at where your mind's at that comment, at the same time, people don't care if Philadelphia gets damaged. People care about the White House and the surrounding areas a lot more. No hate to my the people I love in Philadelphia.
Brotherly love,
right?
It's Mod City.
Love it. I will definitely hold the Wiz. And Joel Embiid is a bum, but outside of that, Philadelphia, I still rock with you. So yeah, that's the truth. People don't care if Philadelphia gets trashed because in some parts of Philadelphia, you could have sworn that they didn't clean up after they trashed Philadelphia. Like, we know that's facts.
All right. Okay. Well, so I'm trying to let you guys get a lot of air there before I ramble, because I'm going to ramble about this movie for a little bit once I get started.
I have ramblings to give you as well.
Okay.
We'll go in order and in good fashion here, but
let me be quick initially. The reason why I say I rank it so highly in terms of it being Captain America movie is because a Captain America movie should be about political intrigue and should more or less be a question like what it is to be an American and where that fits in, whether it be in terms of society or versus even against like the president, the holdings of the president. Where does it fit in a worldwide stage? And you got that a little bit in Civil War, but it was mostly Iron Man versus Captain America in an Avengers movie than an actual Captain America movie.
It was more of an Iron Man movie than Captain America.
More or less, right? With what's it called again? Was it Carter kind of being an afterthought, and her death should have been more of a bigger deal to Steve than what Tony was dealing with. The love of his life that he basically never really got a chance to connect with was basically a sequence in Civil War, and it's his movie. There's issues with Civil War, right? We can all agree with that. Just as there's issues with this.
Sure, none of these. I don't think any of these movies are perfect.
Winter Soldier is a perfect movie.
Not perfect. It's pretty good.
I'm pretty perfect.
Davan, I'm so reluctant to call something perfect because the expectation is perfection can never be equaled, right? Or surpassed. And I think that there's always
can't go past warp 10. It's not possible.
There's always room for improvement. So that's why I would never call it a perfect movie. Near perfect, sure. I can ride with you on that respect.
I wouldn't go as far as to call this particular movie a bad movie, but I would say that this movie is not great.
All right. I'm going to talk for a minute here. So
Davan Cook
does a lot of work. It does a lot of work for the universe. Like I almost feel like Anthony Mackie is like the cast version of Falcon, where he's just like he's just the company man. He's going where Cap's going. Like he put a lot. This is his big solo movie, and it's just a lot of it is just doing work for the universe. Like it sets up the X-Men. It sets up the Convergence. It sets up like what else does it set up? It sets up reforming a new Avengers. It's like anyway, it does a lot of work in world.
Right.
Also, like, brings the Incredible Hulk movie back into the fold, kind of.
It cleans up Secret Invasion as well.
Yeah.
Right. The amount of heavy lifting this movie does, it is true. It's kind of sad, and I think that it does a disservice to the character of Captain America. But once again, I think at a certain point, the idea was Marvel needs to be in a certain place at a certain time, and we only have so many movies to get them there. And they're like, this movie did a lot of disservice for a lot of the other things, because would we really want a lot of backtracking and looking at what previously happened in the next Spider-Man movie? No. Fantastic Four? No. Avengers? No. What else do we have coming up? Do we want Ironheart to really look after it? Right? Ironheart has its own issues to kind of take care of, let alone this. So this is where a lot of the work had to be put in. Right? So
yeah, because this is the one everyone would go see. It's a legacy title. Like if you want to build your world, you do it in a Cat movie or something that people are going to go see. You know,
if I may,
yeah. Go.
Here's okay. I can only speak to myself as a personal audience member, and as I'm, and I know that there are concerns as a long-term audience member of just like these series of movies, these storylines, these characters, and that's largely what I'm hearing from you guys. Is like, well, they advanced this and this and this, and I liked this, and I don't disagree with most of that. I feel like it was smart to bring back some of these characters and interleave these stories. However, maybe I watch the news too much, but I guess, I can't help but be taken out of this movie largely because of current events. Here we are in 2025.
It's not the movie's fault.
It's not the movie's fault. It's just, it's like, this happened to me also recently when I was watching a show with Robert De Niro. And specifically, I'm going to get into Robert De Niro's playing the president, or like a former president who's brought back in to do this thing on this show called 0 Day or whatever. It's not so important. Of course, you have Harrison Ford playing William Ross here, right? Is it William? No, Thaddeus Ross. Thaddeus Ross as the president of the United States as well in this movie. And so there's kind of, plus like, but the real president of the United States, like I would take Thaddeus Ross as president of the United States over the real president of the United States any day of the week, And so it's and what's happening in our current events, and there's a lot of just
I want this Dave to go back and watch An American President, because this is all the stuff I was saying about that movie, and you thought me mad, sir.
No, I believed in this idealistic vision, and it made me.
And I told you that was bullshit.
Well, I was kind of conflicted on it, because in this movie, I think Sam Wilson as Captain America does a good job of trying to aspire to that idealism, right? And trying to be good. And, that's what kind of Captain America is about. Not the reality of the government and almost this being at odds with each other, Captain America and the President of the United States, the government, authority, all that stuff. And like the horrible past of the United States, like the experiments that are brought up in this movie about, what's his character?
Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah. And all that. So there's kind of like there's kind of a dual message in this movie, right? But there's also this kind of undercurrent of like, we have to find the good in each other, and we have to find a way to work together here between Sam Wilson and Ross, right? And like their little scene there in the cherry blossoms near the end of the movie where they're kind of coming together. And then Ross is like, I've changed now. And there's all these like messages in the movie. It's not the movie's fault, and maybe like if you watch this movie in a different time and space and headspace, you're gonna interpret it differently. But that was kind of like, I feel like that would still have been the case 2 months ago if I'd seen it, and it's even more so now as time has gone by. And
right.
So that's
if I may cook for a moment here. So let's talk about this movie. why I think this is. So there was a few times in this movie, maybe 2-3 times, where I'm like, I'm getting to a point where I'm like, this movie can either drop off for me in this moment, or in the next minute or 5, or no. And every time it didn't. Like the movie was starting to get. I was starting to be like, this is starting to feel more like maybe like another episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier or something for me. And then, bam! Isaiah Bradley shoots at the president. I'm like, yes. Like, I know why. I knew why, because I knew Leader was in the movie and everything. That didn't matter. I liked the Leader. I thought that was exciting. But that really kicked off the movie for me. I'm like, yeah, all right, this movie's awesome now, because like I like the Isaiah Bradley character and the actor a lot. So I liked how it was focused a lot around him. Well, we lost Dave. He didn't like my thoughts. He's like, no, this movie stinks.
Dave, Davan, continue. I'm hearing you. Continue on.
Okay.
I had to adjust.
You just wanted my position in the middle of the screen. I shall take.
I wanted to be middle guy. No,
I'm ranting from the middle.
Back. I'll be right guy.
The one thing I will say, where Jaemeel says there's some things that weren't executed well. For me, the only thing that wasn't executed well in this movie were the fight scenes that weren't in the air. Any fight scene that wasn't them flying was awful. Like, truly awful. Like,
I preferred
not even
fighting
bad
scenes
for
to
movies.
the air scenes. Actually, I was the opposite.
They were so slow. Like, go back and watch that first fight scene where he has to, fight through a bunch of army guys all by himself. It's like these early fight scenes in this movie, they make it seem like he's way out of his league. Like, there's no reason why one of those guys in that hallway shouldn't have just like shanked him. He's not moving fast enough or strong enough like Steve Rogers to just mow through these people.
He's more going like Daredevil speed, because they're kind of
even Daredevil. He doesn't even have that ability. So that's the thing. It's more believable. And like Daredevil still always like catches a knife or something. Like and same with Joaquin. Like there's no reason why these two guys should be just mowing through all these other people like this. Like, you give a little more credit to Sam. Sam's fought aliens. He saved the universe. You know what I mean?
Sam is a decorated soldier.
Decorated soldier. He's a specialist with what he can do in the air, and he's put time into learning the shield. Like, you can.
Joaquin has
the way they showed those scenes, he didn't seem like special enough. So I was having a problem with that during the movie, but then I'm like, I wonder if they're going to address this, and they do, but it doesn't save the fact that I thought the fight scene sucked. But they did address that point where I love that scene he has with Bucky. And Bucky's just like, Steve Rogers gave people something to admire and look up to, and you give them something to aspire to. Because people can actually, maybe I could be Sam Wilson one day. You can't be Captain Steve Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
that was one of the good scenes.
And when he would joke and be like, I should have took the serum. You just be like, you start getting his ass kicked and be like, damn, you should have took the serum. Like,
right. Yeah. This idea you would deliberately not take it in a world of superheroes, I think it's an interesting choice. But
Davan, I think you might agree with me. The end game for Sam isn't necessarily to live a long life as Captain America, because as he is,
he couldn't.
he won't be able to. No. But the
Cap fights Thanos,
right? But the idea that this normal person can take on the mantle, and even for a period of time can be that hero for people, is the ideal that he's trying to live up to, right? And that he's working towards, right? That's why he's practicing with Isaiah and stuff. He realizes like this is his reality, and he tells like what's it called again? The Falcon, right? He's like explained to him. It's like, look, like, don't die, right? Understand that you have limits. It's not just telling him; he's also reminding himself, right? He can't just strong arm things. He has to like be smarter to win the day. That's how he beat Sidewinder. He wasn't going to just right.
And the leader knew that. Like the leader, he's like the buyer told me there'd be a 77% chance you'd just try to talk me down. Yeah, we're like Steve Rogers doesn't really talk you down. If you're like if you're the target of like the problem, he just takes you out. Like he doesn't. Like
usually he's
like incapacitates you, and then he will.
Then he might talk to you.
They have different styles, Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers. That's for sure, and that's pointed out numerous times in the movie that they're especially by Ross's character.
But he's like to me, Sam Wilson's the perfect street level Captain America, like earthbound Captain America. Like the thing about Sam is he's the normal guy who could become an Avenger. Like,
in no way, I think that this movie, I think he's a good Captain America. I don't even really necessarily prefer Steve Rogers to him. It's, he does fine as the lead in this movie. I have no complaints with any of that, really. It's more just that I was never really super invested either. Like, I just emotionally never felt much. And I was never.
That's where the Isaiah Bradley storyline comes in. That's the heart.
That was the most.
Sending him back to prison where he's like, I can't go back in the cage, man. Like,
that was the deepest stuff in the movie.
Like, did you not shed a tear when he's just like, I'm going to die in here? He's like, I'm not getting out of here this time. I know it. And like, when they're like messing with his suit and shit, man, I was crying for all of that Isaiah Bradley stuff. That was too much, man. That was sad stuff.
They were talking about executing him.
Oh, yeah, death penalty.
And like even just the fact that he would go to the White House, he's just like, go to the place who like imprisoned me and experimented on me for 30 years. Like, I'm like, man, that just this is.
Oh yeah, it was pretty deep. He has to get him to surrender in that park and that poop. I'd say that the stuff with Bradley.
I was worried. I was so worried.
I wish there was a sequence.
I was so worried they weren't gonna.
I wish there was a sequence with Bradley and the leader, because you have this person who mirrors his type of experience, but like the leader's only been technically under the thumb and being experimented on for like what, a decade, right? Yeah, 3 times that amount, and then afterwards it's not even that he was experimented on and imprisoned for 30 years. It's what happened afterwards too, when he finally got out and basically was in hiding, withering away, mad with no outlet. The leader at least was able to, take action. There should have been that like debate, that philosophical confrontation, showcase it. It was his interesting concepts there.
His confidence is so great because he's just run all the numbers in his head, so he's just like pretty sure when someone's going to attack him and when they're not, and he's just like kind of just rolls with it. Like when he just walks into the room and just starts chatting to them, I'm like, that's bold. But like,
yeah,
pretty. I liked how they connected him and Ross as well. I thought that was smart. How because I'm like, how is this whole Red Hulk thing going to come about? They just show him popping these pills. I'm like, so is he making himself Red Hulk? That kind of guts this character and makes it kind of stupid. So I like that they made the leader make him Red Hulk, because in the comics he makes himself Red Hulk.
Yeah. right, because he's more of a bad guy in the comic books than this.
Oh,
right?
Like, well, if you're a fan of Bruce Banner,
yeah.
Which, Bruce Banner is one of the heroes of the Avengers, so I would say that that would be the natural.
Goddaughter's here.
Hey there, say hi. Wave. Stunned. Oh, she's waving back. She gets it.
She's waving back to them. Very cute.
Thumbs
you do
up.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You do flip. You do flip.
You flip. Ursula. She can't hear me, but say hello.
Here. Say hello.
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 Hi.
Hi.
No. It's early. It's early.
Or late in her case, perhaps.
There's so many things in this movie I want to talk about.
Me too.
I don't know where to start.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, the fact that
Sidewinder was great.
So you want to start with Sidewinder?
The new Sidewinder?
Sidewinder. Yeah, I thought he was cool, man.
So understand that character was not supposed to be presented the way it was presented.
Was he going to have teleportation powers like in the comics?
No, it was supposed to be more of a comedic character. Seth Rollins, the wrestler, originally filmed his sequences as Sidewinder.
Oh, I thought he was some different Serpent Society.
No, he was Sidewinder.
Oh.
And then as they rejigged the film, they was it Esposito
Giancarlo Esposito?
Yes. Took over the role. And you can see that they rearranged some things. There's a lot of ADR throughout the film. But I think that for the most part, it was pretty much seamless. And I think a lot of Davin's issues also plays into that because I think they kind of cheap. No, I mean like the whole fighting inside the chapel. I think was the method in which they were kind of like, okay, we're doing reshoots. We've got to do this in a studio. We can do it in a self-contained kind of area like the chapel, so it's like a lot easier to manage, right? Than doing another big sequence, because it looks like there's a sequence missing there, like a big kind of confrontation. It just becomes, Sidewinder's like, oh, I'll talk to the buyer in my own time. Here, deal with my my sidekick, and as he gets away, and that's the pretty much the ending of that sequence. It just seems like there could have been a bigger sequence there, especially to start the film.
Yeah, like he was good in the movie Sidewinder, kind of like in terms of like the fight scenes that he was in, and like his scenes with Captain America were like pretty brutal. Actually, there was some like serious action with that.
I like this line. It's just like most people don't stand back up from an axe to the gut or whatever.
yeah, and then like at the end, he's kind of like he gets a reduced sentence, and they're like, don't try to escape. He's like, when I escape, and I guess we'll see him
I'll
again.
kill you. Like,
so yeah, he was all right. Like he's not some of his like. He was fine, I guess. But the whole idea of Ross becoming president, is that from the comic books, or is that something they made up for the movie?
The movie.
So they're like, well, we made him the Secretary of State already, so maybe there's sort of this idea that he could make the jump to president.
In the comics, they made Green Goblin president instead.
Right, in a similar kind of a storyline.
Well, he did. Well, he saved from the secret invasion.
Yeah,
he's the one who killed the alien queen. So they're like, he
we're gonna have
saved her.
to ask ourselves here is okay. After this, we're doing a podcast on Daredevil: Brave New World. Right, and so who's worse?
Born Again, but
is it worse that with Ross as president or Kingpin as mayor of New York? Which how do you equate those?
Kingpin as mayor is straight out of the comics and is awesome.
Yeah, but like when you're saying, Dave, are you asking what is worse for like the public?
Yes.
It's Kingpin.
Kingpin is a legit monster.
And
Thunderbolt Ross,
criminal.
you might disagree. Thunderbolt Ross, you might disagree with his tactics, but
it's like electing a Republican or something. Like
at no point do you feel that he's like he's doing this out of complete malice, right? He could be blinded by his hatred.
And they kept saying that in the movie. He's just like,
self-interested, yes, but at the same time, I don't think he's like, well, I'm going to kill the American public to meet my own means.
He's not as bad as Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, he's
like legit. He's not as bad.
He's legitimately better than Kingpin and Trump.
yeah.
If you want, and Kingpin is better than Trump too. But we'll get into that in the Daredevil podcast.
In some way, he's smart at least.
Would Trump sit through? We built this city, but we'll talk about it.
He would actually.
Let's start dancing.
Yeah, probably.
Sorry.
Okay, the fact that he's president in this movie, does it work for you guys? Like, do you find it's a good narrative?
Yeah,
like him.
They elected the American people will elect anyone, literally anyone.
Oh, it's not that it's believable or not. More just as
there you go.
Yeah, it's a choice, right? And like we know that he's kind of this Incredible Hulk character, but he's also kind of an Avengers character now because of these Avenger movies.
Well, he was Avenger character since the Avengers. Once they started introducing and presenting him in the Avengers, I think that
Falcon?
Ross. Thunderbolt Ross.
Ross is an Avengers level character.
Yeah. But I think that once again, just kind of reiterated what I said, clean up for Secret Invasion, because that whole the vice president taking over, saying that they're gonna, enemies of any type of aliens, the ending remarks of Secret Invasion kind of took Marvel in a direction that they really shouldn't, especially this early. So I think they had to clean that up too.
The other thing that this movie really set up was the Thunderbolts movie. It did a lot of work to set up Thunderbolts.
Yeah, okay. I know. I do want to talk about that too. The thing I was trying to figure out in this movie with Ross is he has this whole thing with the adamantium treaty, right? Mm-hmm. And they found adamantium from the Eternals movie, right? With the
from the Celestial Island,
the Celestial coming out of and it's in the Indian Ocean, right? So I know why India's involved, and I kind of kind of gather why the U.S. is involved in this whole like claim, but France and Japan are a little random to me in this equation. In terms
Japan,
of the
it had to be for comic book reasons.
Why? Because of Wolverine?
Yes.
Okay.
It's got to be a Japanese scientist that covers Wolverine and adamantium.
Right. So we have to have that connection.
Or not a Japanese scientist that does that. That was Dr. Cornelius. But like it's the Japanese scientist's technology and work that Cornelius used. And like he's the one, like that's why there's so many Japanese characters with adamantium and stuff, like like Silver Samurai and like who else we got? Like Lady Deathstrike.
And this is a world where you have a country like Wakanda that that we don't have in our own universe, our own world influence, that is isolationist and sort of has a specific policy and sort of idea of protectionism for their natural resource of vibranium. And
I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt, but that's where the politics in this movie really work, I find, because the Americans in the real world would hate that. An isolationist government that has all this sweet technology and riches and things that they don't have, they would never, they would be the biggest thing on their mind every day until they could find a way around that. Like, that's just...
And then adamantium is just solved for that.
Just for because it's a power imbalance, right? Because they don't, it's,
they don't have that power.
They don't have that power, and they need to be the most powerful. Or keep that supremacy, because Wakanda would have such power and sort of influence otherwise.
So Ross's whole thing is I just need to insert the US into this.
He says if only one country is going to control adamantium, it's going to be us.
Yeah.
He says it very Harrison Ford style.
And I like that Japan's playing tough. Japan's just like,
why is France
again? Why is it Japan? Why is it? Oh, like it's almost like Japan found it. Like it may be in the Indian Ocean, but I think the Japanese Navy.
They were the first ones weren't they the first ones to be able to mine it properly and transport it because of the coolant system?
Maybe that's what it was. Right? Once adamantium hardens, you can't mess with it again.
So you're asking why France?
The fact that China is not in this whole mix, we know why. But because they will go out of it. Well, no, because I think the Chinese that studios go out of their way not to put like China as an antagonist in their movies so that they can potentially sell them and run them in China.
I think you're 100% correct in that.
Because China and India, of course, being neighbors and them both being near the Indian Ocean and near the South China Sea, like adjacent, and I think there would be more than just Japan in that mix.
However, if Japan got there first, they would actively try and exclude China.
I don't even know if Japan has that much of a navy, do they? Because like after World War II, they had to kind of not.
They're an island.
I know that, but they had to, they had to not have like so much of a military. I don't know what the size.
Oh, but that's all changed. I think they're huge. Like they certainly have the largest.
Because I don't really know the answer to this. So Japanese Navy. They started in 1954. They got a couple ships. They got 22 submarines, 36
destroyers. Way more than us. We have like 4, and they don't work.
They got
they have like a tube with the water. They just shoot the water out.
10 frigates.
There you go.
The Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force is called. So recognize.
Maritime.
I like that. Well,
but yeah, they're shooting at each other in this movie. I don't know. There's a couple things. It was just kind of I'm like, I don't know if they would play out like this, would it? If from a global standoff kind of but it's a movie. It's
Ross being irrational and
that was believable. Everything was, it wasn't so much that. It was just more like how these countries were sort of and which
BRB
specifically. Okay. So that was one thing with the movie that I was kind of left shaking my head with, or not even shaking my head, just kind of like, what? There was, I guess, Ross like inviting Captain America to the White House, asking him to start the Avengers, just for him to kind of turn around after the assassination attempt and kind of go, screw you, I don't want you anymore. Because he did save his life. Like we saw that Sam Wilson did kind of save the day.
Yeah, but I think the optics would have looked terrible though. After that,
it was the politics of it all. They kind of say that,
which he did mention that too. I don't think he necessarily. this was like an olive branch, and the olive branch obviously was kind of tarnished, which I absolutely believe is part of the leader's plan as well, right?
Right.
You can see different pieces kind of be putting in order, and didn't want necessarily a Ross controlled Avengers team trying to investigate, and it adds more pieces on the board that are harder to manage, as opposed to just Wilson, and company, and Ross being separate entities.
Let's talk. Yeah, we can talk about the leader's plan in this movie too. I
Okay.
guess even his motivations to a degree, but they never call him the leader. He's just called Samuel Stearns, his like real world name. They never say that in a line of dialogue or reference him in that specific way. But he's a character from the comics. They set this up in 2008 in The Incredible Hulk, where we saw the actor who plays him is Tim Blake Nelson, who I guess they were like, maybe we'll bring this guy back to be the leader, and here we are, 2025, and he's inserted into this movie, and he does a good job. Like, I think he's one of the better cerebral villains that they've actually executed on screen, because I think that if you look at like in The Flash, they had the Thinker, who's kind of a similar vibe and sort of way of going about things.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't quite work in that season of The Flash.
There's a lot of issues with that season.
that in particular for me, but they were coming off 3 other seasons of just going after speedsters. Like, Flash fights this speedster, then this speedster.
Well, I figure if I'm going to be the new Falcon, I need a Red Wing.
Yeah. Oh, that's
chicken jockey. Are you a chicken jockey, Davan?
Don't chicken out.
This is my house chicken. This is a damn fine chicken.
Obviously, the fact that I brought that up and none of you reacted, just chicken jockey.
What does Ursula think of the chicken?
Loves it.
Loves it.
Really? You can't stay away from the chicken. No cats and chickens. I gotta get this chicken out of here.
Neither of you are reacting to the idea of the term chicken jockey.
Do cats want to eat chickens?
Dave, do you know what chicken jockey means?
No.
Have you totally ignored what's been happening with Minecraft?
Yes. What's going on with Minecraft? Fill me in.
People trashing theaters, especially at the chicken jockey scene. People bringing in live chickens to the movie theaters.
Away, Red Wing.
They are? This is happening? This is a real thing?
Dave, after we podcast, maybe we should look up chicken jockey Minecraft, okay?
Did you know about this, Davan?
I don't know anything about Minecraft.
Well, apparently, like, in the Minecraft movie, people are bringing chickens to the movie, and like, it's a whole thing.
That's weird. I can take that into a movie. That's a cool chicken.
Don't do that, Davan, please.
Okay.
Anyways, the leader's plan, Dave was just talking about.
Well, he works better for me as a cerebral villain. He's okay. He's pretty decent in this movie, but I never got too invested either. Like I'm saying, like the vibe, the pace, or something, it never quite clicks for me as like a great movie for whatever reason. Maybe I need to watch it again. It's less than the sum of its parts in some ways.
I'll give you that because his plan was too small. It was just revenge.
Yeah,
like he could have done revenge and global domination. Like he's the leader. Like
what's his normal motivations as a character? Because in this movie, he's just like a tortured prisoner of Ross who wants revenge.
No, he's more of a global domination kind of guy.
You didn't get that vibe in this movie for me.
In the cartoon, it was he wants to experiment on the Hulk so he can replicate the Hulk's powers in himself. So he has to.
He wants that.
He
does want that. Yeah, that's a constant thing. Yeah.
Right. So it makes sense that he would have this like ability to turn Ross into the Red Hulk, I guess, or sort of, would be exploring those kinds of experiments. His scenes were all good. The actor was very good for me.
He's always good in everything, Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with him. I remember him in like the Incredible Hulk way back in the day.
Oh man, have you not seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That's
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou.
It's one of the best movies ever made, man.
I don't know if I've seen it. Awesome. I know what it is though. But yeah, the whole thing with him, like I guess taking over Isaiah Bradley's mind and a bunch of these other people's minds.
So sad.
And sometimes he could control minds, but like why doesn't he control Sam Wilson's mind?
He doesn't have like telepathic powers.
No, you have to look at the phone and he has to flash lights at you like it did at Bradley. Right?
No, but he has to have previously supplanted that into you. like Hydra did.
How did he do it with Bradley? How was Bradley like susceptible?
He kidnapped Bradley.
Okay, in advance. I didn't pick up on this.
Oh, I feel like they hinted that while Bradley was incarcerated for the 30 years, that
this was implanted.
Yeah, maybe that makes no sense. No,
I was under the impression that they used the phone to subliminally provide instructions as to what to do, and then the song was the trigger mechanism for it. Right?
That he supplanted before. He definitely kidnapped them all.
I don't think he kidnapped them all. I think it was specifically the actual documented the phone thing. So
no, because then Dave's right. Why wouldn't he just do it to get Falcon?
Or anybody. Like,
why not
sometimes
just control the Falcon?
It was like that sound.
Keep in mind, like you have to get like he has to have access to the phone. It was a specific phone thing, right? Isaiah Bradley indicated that he had a new phone. It wasn't an old phone; it was a new phone. So you would have to one make sure whoever you want to implant got a new phone. Would they accept a new phone? Like, it isn't just a matter of like, I'm just going to hack their phone and do it. It was a specific piece of tech.
Because don't they ask in the movie?
I think they told us otherwise. Is when he walks into the Camp Echo, they show all these things like a chair people were strapped to, and this different equipment, and then they show the pictures of all the people. I think they were trying to tell us that the people were strapped to that chair at one point. And here's the people. Like I just think they just laid it out for us in like a 5-second scene.
Right.
I just watched it last night. I'm pretty sure that's, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Let's just assume the leader somehow set this up with these particular targets in advance, one way or the other. Maybe he got their file. Maybe he sent them a phone. Maybe he kidnapped them. Something.
And they also reference Bucky's mind control. Like he's just like, it's like my friend. He's doing it like they did to my friend.
Yeah, just not with words, but with flashes or whatever. It's I don't know. It's plausible, I guess. You know, you can kind of suspend disbelief.
The Manchurian Candidate type of.
Yeah,
it's cool. He finally sees on all the cameras, like all the flashes on all the different people. He's like, "Oh shit!"
They start to piece it together. So there's kind of like this whole aspect of it still being like an investigative sort of mystery that you're unraveling and getting to the leader. I kind of figured out it was him. I don't know, when the first silhouette happened, the first phone call we had here with Ross, I was like, oh, it's him. And James was like, who is that? And I was like, well, don't worry about it. I
have a question for you, Jaemeel. What did you think of Sabra, who was not allowed to be called Sabra because of current events? Sabra. This movie was affected by current events, at least
currently current effects. It was interesting how the character was kind of positioned so close to the president as well. And would they have okay,
they removed all the explanation. I'm sure that was all explained, which they removed by downgrading.
You have Sabra, and then you kind of have to believe that Sam's friend, I wouldn't have been a surprise if she was Wakandan, and you would have like a Wakandan agent as well as like, you know, an IDF agent as well, right? And the White House.
Wasn't her last name Taylor or something like that? Agent
Taylor. Like,
who are we talking about?
Sabra is Ross's chief of defense staff.
Yeah,
the Ruth lady in the movie.
Ruth,
she's an Israeli superhero called Sabra, but because of Israel committing genocide and whatnot, people don't want to glorify Israel in movies now, so they downgraded that character. All the explanation of why she's attached to Ross, all that was removed. Like they just left her there.
They just said she was a former Black Widow. That was there's not much else given to us about her in the movie.
So now she's just high up in the American government and just happens to have this accent that they don't explain.
Yeah,
but, they said she was born in Israel in the movie. That's about it.
They do say she was born in Israel, and became a widow.
And then
they can show that she has like widow beat sticks.
Once she showed up, the amount on Facebook, you got the Sabra Incredible Hulk sequence where she learns that Palestinian kids are human. If you've ever seen that, take a look. That's actual canon. Where Hulk has to basically explain to her, in Hulk form.
No, Palestinians are people too. What?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I'm not
Sabra
familiar with
smash.
the character, but yeah,
But
sounds like a
so
gaff.
kind of an odd character to put in this movie anyway. Like I don't know.
I think her part of the movie is kind of not needed and kind of
not at all.
I think the character is needed, mind you, not that specific character. I think they were trying to have
someone attached to Ross. Someone attached to Ross.
I with possible ulterior motives, right?
That's basically
what her character was until like. Sorry,
what?
You know, there was like the Secret Service agent that Sam knew, right? And then there was also
that's to Agent Taylor or whoever.
I think you could have just merged that into one character and like simplified a lot of it.
There were times when like early in the movie where like they're trying to make you think one is the other character. They want you to think that like Sabra is Sam's in because he's like I have an in at the White House.
Yeah, I'm talking about the character of Leela Taylor in the movie.
Taylor.
But I always assumed originally that she was like a Wakandan double agent.
Maybe
we
didn't get that.
I just felt like this movie was trying to have its cake and eat it too, which is like, hey, let's inject a lot of these political elements to raise the intrigue of what people's minds are kind of spinning about what's thing. So Sabra as a character, we're going to insert here. We're going to have Sam's into the White House being this character we don't really know about, but he kind of references that he knows her. Like, where does he know her from? We have no information.
Yes, we get that a lot. I'm always the end stage in all of these comparisons.
Yeah, you're always. Yeah,
I'm the prepubescent stage that can't really build like a proper beard at all.
But mine's also the grayest, so it just looks like if you guys age, you'll turn into me. Even though maybe I'm the youngest here.
You are actually the youngest of us.
Yeah. So
there you go. Okay.
I want to go back to your initial question, Dave, if I may.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which was, is this a good Captain America movie?
There you go.
And the answer to that is yes. And the reason why is, well, there's a couple reasons. The thing that Sam and Steve both do is Captain America is, I would say, most often at odds with the government. Even if it was just like whatever the government liaison to the Avengers was, he's always at odds with the government. Like he's not like where you say current events cloud your enjoyment of this movie and your feelings of it. It doesn't for me, because to me, Captain America almost has nothing to do with the American government, or like I don't see him that way. I like to comics. He's just this thing that
in
the
comics he's been sort of yes and no, right? Sometimes he's like in Civil War in the comics, and in the movies he's the one who goes against the like accords and like the registration and whatever.
He's like American ideals versus the American government.
But
not even American ideals. That's what I don't agree with.
Is more in service of the government, and
I think Superman is American ideals, truth, justice, in the American way, and all that horse shit. Captain America is just a dude. Like he's that dude from Queens. He's that little dude who used to get beat up by everybody because he's little but he just wanted to do the right thing and he didn't want to fight. And like he was
that's the modern take, but I don't think that's always been the character. Like going back to like the 40s and like
he was invented as a propaganda for World War II. Like
right.
So like let's remove that. But like what he is as a contemporary character is
not now,
he's not the character that other characters in the Marvel universe look to as this like personification of America. That almost never comes up. Other superheroes and other characters in comics and even movies look to him as just this person who's going to do what he thinks is right. And because he's Steve Rogers and his outlook on people in life, it probably is right because he's self-sacrificial and he just believes in the goodness of people and things like that. Like, so he's like Spider-Man's kind of the same. Like they're like kind of the two, like just believe everybody could be nice and maybe in their hearts are like, that's kind of what him and Spider-Man have in common.
Yeah.
There are literally no X-Men characters that believe that because they are the subject of racial prejudice constantly. And
they're a little bit more hardened.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so if you want to be positive, you look to Captain America and Spider-Man, but more so Cap because Spider-Man's a bit of a disaster. So that's who Cap is to me. So you can.
That's who
he's
like
Captain
Steve Rogers
America
is to
by
me,
name only.
And Sam
Steve
Wilson,
Rogers.
I think, is kind of very similar to Steve. He's very similar to Steve Rogers, but he's got some differences.
Okay, I got distracted
in
from
how he approaches conversations and how he talks to But you were
my whole point was this is.
It's a good movie, and your first point was I'm not taken out of the movie because I like the character.
You're right. I did make a point. So that's. And I was making the point that what makes this good Captain America movie. So yes, that's one thing they have in common. Steve Rogers is not for the government. Neither is Sam Wilson for a ton of reasons. And I think he's almost like a more real embodiment of that.
He's more of an everyman, right? In this movie.
Well, also he's like a black man in America. He's subject to more.
Mm-hmm.
He has to see the good in people to be that, like even against those types of things. Whereas Captain America is just somebody that everyone in America would just want to love in like classic America. He's the ripped,
right? He's
handsome, unthreatening in like every single way you can imagine in that mindset. So he's almost a better embodiment of Captain America than Steve Rogers in a lot of ways. Like I think a point I got derailed from earlier by myself, of course. Sam Wilson is the regular guy who can become a superhero, whereas Steve Rogers is this regular guy compared to superheroes that can still fight gods. You know what I mean? So they're like two separate versions of Captain America that both have their place. Like this movie is almost too small for Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers would have cleaned this up in like 20 minutes.
Well, it does feel smaller than those other movies. I agree, and I think,
but it has to. It has to.
As even just the stars of these movies, I think Anthony Mackie and Chris Evans, with his 3 installments now only against this kind of 1, maybe and a half of Sam Wilson having been given the shield and all this, right? And I just feel like, I don't know, there's some sort of an intangible quality. Maybe it's just a personal preference for me where Chris Evans as sort of the star of the movie worked better than Anthony Mackie does for me in this movie, and that's just my personal take.
And the other thing that, well, I see that point. But the other thing that makes this a good Captain America movie and what would make a good Steve Rogers movie is Captain America is always the underdog as well. For Steve Rogers, you have to put him up against bigger threats. But it doesn't matter that the threats are smaller in this movie because, again, it has to be. Like even the fight, like I said, with the fight scenes, they don't quite work.
Yeah, I wasn't loving it. I was sort of like, okay, let's go. What's the thing? Who's this? Blah, blah, blah. And so there was also, this movie is trying a lot to rely on this relationship between Sam Wilson and Joaquin, and this being the new hero sidekick dynamic. It's not as good because before we had Chris Evans and Anthony Mackie was his sidekick. Right now we're upgrading Anthony Mackie to lead, and his sidekick's kind of like, he's okay, I guess. And the very last shot of the movie is like, that's such a Miami thing or whatever, and then they laugh, and then it goes to credits, and I was like, I don't know. Even if you're going for that buddy cop thing, I'm not super go. I wasn't getting Lethal Weapon vibes. I wasn't getting even what I got previously with Chris Evans and Anthony Mackie respectively. Even Anthony Mackie and what's his name, Bucky there. The guy who plays him. Sebastian Stan. That works better for me. His scene was one of my favorite because I was like, I just want these two to be like the movie.
But you wouldn't want Bucky to be on that sidekick.
You're not wrong. I agree with you, but like to me, that's a character thing. Like it's just like when they try to do like a show of a super obscure character and it doesn't work, and people are like, why didn't people watch that? It's just because people don't know who that character is. It was a great show. People didn't know. It's that thing. It's just like Captain America and Falcon are just legendary characters played by good actors. That's a relationship dynamic. It's like Batman and Robin. Like it's like you're comparing the relationship between Batman and Robin between the relationship between like, I don't know, pick two characters that are way more tangential.
Wolverine and Jubilee.
Sure. No, that's what?
You did that purposely, Dave. I saw
you did do that on purpose, and I didn't see that coming. That was
just popped into my head.
I am impressed by how much of a really hurtful thing to say that was to me and Jaemeel.
I was trying to hurt anybody. I was just
Well, you did
haven't
a
seen
little.
Dawn. Nah, I'm not. I was not thought through. But anyway, where were we? Yeah,
the
chemistry of the characters, I think, is ultimately what
and,
we're coming.
And
down
even
to.
Bucky, like that storied relationship between Bucky and Steve Rogers, that sort of moves itself onto the relationship between Sam Wilson and Bucky. Like
but that's also been
between
developed
Sam and
over a
Joaquin can
longer
never
period
reach
of time,
that,
though.
you know. I think their chemistry was fine. It's just like the significance of the relationship can just never meet those other relationships.
Yeah, Danny Ramirez is the guy who plays Joaquin. He's okay.
He's fine.
He's fine, but he's not exciting me enough either.
Honestly, Falcon's superpower is Red Wing.
Yeah, and that was like the drones, and then Red Hulk destroys the drone. I felt nothing for Red Wing when he was destroyed. Sorry.
That wasn't Red Wing. That was Red Wing 2.
Okay, Red Wing 2, R.I.P. You know, so there's a whole thing. The fact that they brought back Betty Ross for this movie, and specifically Liv Tyler, was, you know, also kind of fun, I guess. You know, Jane's like, how much do you think she got paid to come back for like one day's work, basically, and just show up for one phone call and one.
I'll admit that cut me up. As a man with 2 daughters, that cut me up. I just like imagined a scenario where like I could never, that I was estranged from my daughter or whatever. But like the powerful moment of them coming back after such a horrible thing, it's just that I cried again. This movie made me cry a couple times. I thought it was effective.
Do you think it was a good idea to recast Thaddeus Ross here as?
Well, you know, William Hurt's dead.
I know. So, but they didn't recast T'Challa there, did they?
They didn't count. Well, no. Look, there's a big difference, but they will recast T'Challa.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Technically, they already did.
Yeah.
Well, they got a successor, but that's
no, but they'll recast T'Challa. They will.
But when? Like they'll get it like
Secret Wars.
Yeah, they're gonna bring him back, and a new actor will come in. Maybe like a multiverse version. I can see that.
Multiverse version, but it'll still be T'Challa, son of T'Chaka.
Right. But yeah, they have done other recasts in Marvel, and other times, like I think the one with Chadwick Boseman, I guess, was particularly. I guess he was so young and it was so like, you know, tragic. But you know, other like Bill Hurt died. It wasn't tragic because he was a little older.
Well, he's not the first Thaddeus Ross. Like before that, it was Sam Neill.
So when Sam Neill
like a character in the Hulk movie, the first one, the Ang Lee.
Yeah. Oh, the Ang Lee one. Yeah.
Look at you.
Just, quite frankly,
you just completely waved it up.
Get out of your Ang Lee Hulk. No one likes that movie.
Oh, I do.
Sam Neill is kind of the best Thunderbolt Ross.
I like the Hulk movie, Ang Lee's Hulk.
You like Ang Lee's Hulk? You remember how many products?
I like it.
Licensing was
really long. It's really long.
I like conceptually that they approach the Hulk that way, as opposed to
like a psychological.
As opposed to just like punching things.
Just traditional superhero movie.
Hulk. Yeah,
you know.
like
fair enough. It's like Bill
Jenkins,
or is his name Bill Jenkins? The Jenkins run of Incredible Hulk, where it's like you don't even really see the Hulk. It goes for like 20 issues, and maybe you see like one page of the Hulk. Yeah. And it's a great run. It's a scary run of the Hulk, too. It's a great run. Check that shit out.
With all the references to the Hulk in Bruce Banner, we don't see him in this movie, right?
He's off-world.
No, he came back in She-Hulk with his son, remember?
Yeah, he's back. But he might have went off with Scar again. Who knows?
Yeah.
The thing is like the Accords broke up the Avengers. They make that clear. And that's what sets up Thunderbolts, because like they're going to be dealing with Sentry in that movie, which is definitely an Avengers level threat, not a Thunderbolts level threat. So it's like, why is Thor not coming up to fight the Sentry?
I'm actually excited for Thunderbolts.
They're gone. They're all gone.
Yeah. Thunderbolts, I've been excited for a little while now. Like every trailer I see, I get a little bit more. Sentry, a character I'm not super familiar with, but I know who Sentry is kind of.
And the whole creation of him was this whole like PR gag thing. It's a whole thing.
It's like a Superman kind of a character, right? But
they played him off as he was this lost character that Stan Lee invented like 50 years ago, but all that was just bullshit, and they were making it up to like build intrigue around this character. So he was supposed to be this lost character from like classic Marvel when he was not.
Or at least like an earlier draft that he like
like that,
lost.
but like that plays into the character who like Reed Richards and everybody just locked away back in classic Marvel of the 60s because he was too dangerous. Like, so it's a very interesting character. Of modern characters, he's one of the more interesting, I think.
I'm looking forward to seeing that one and Thunderbolts. But back to, I guess, this movie. Is there anything like Liv Tyler's back? She was good, I guess, but whatever. Like I have no specific. I don't have a ton. Like I kind of explain my specific complaints, and a lot of this, it's not the movie's fault, like you said. It's just kind of current day events, and this idea that the president is anybody that we should have a ton of respect for at the moment is kind of like this absurd notion that's kind of presented in the movie. There, it's sometimes the chemistry for me with some of the actors and characters doesn't quite hit like at a 10 at least. It's not a 0, but I'm like, whatever. And yeah, by the end I was like, okay, we'll see you next time. Especially that ending with Mackie and Joaquin is there. Yeah, Joaquin. Ooh, sorry, goes up like that.
It's those comments, like those very like American centric comments. They're playing to a certain audience. It's like in Spider-Man when they're like, "You mess with New York, you mess with all of us." That like,
dude,
those always ring so hollow on me. I'm just like,
yeah, and I knew I was going to be.
Certain audience is like, yeah, but like,
and I know going into
Spider-Man,
Captain America,
Spider-Man stands right in front of an American flag and just like,
yeah.
Yeah, I know going into the movie, it's catering to that American audience, and I'm gonna have to put up with a certain amount of like rah exactly. USA.
Get out of there, you.
All right, guys. Well, is there any trivia or anything else you wanted to get into before we rate the movie? Because we have to get on to.
We said it all about this movie. I mean, Falcon's a good cap. Some of his comics are really good. They're pretty good too.
Yeah, you don't feel like we need to bring back Chris Evans? Like we got to pull him out of the multiverse and say, get back here before it's too late.
After Secret Wars, anyone could be recast.
Yeah.
And expect possibly everyone to be recast.
Because did this movie do well financially? No, right?
It made its money back easily.
And keep in mind that I do believe some countries never showed the movie due to rising tensions and also due to actors in the film.
Oh, really? Which one?
Dish.
Our dear Sabra, I think, was also partly.
Oh well, the whole is. It probably didn't get much airtime.
So the budget was 180 million. So let's assume they doubled that in terms of the.
I think it made 240 million opening weekend or something like that.
I think its box office was 414.8.
I just read 480 million.
That's its money back and more.
Well, I think that it isn't the mega flop that people were saying that it was going to be. I think it was kind of a necessary situation that it was kind of brought into, and a lot of the reshoots did not necessarily prompt a lot of confidence in the film as well. It's not necessarily the popcorn film that people are going to be going back to see multiple times as well. So
its rewatch value, I'll admit, is not high. It's more of a set things up. The most thing we'll be talking about this movie in 10 years from now is that it's set up adamantium.
Yeah, and didn't they mention adamantium in like First Avenger with the shield? It's like it's a vibranium adamantium blend or something. I feel like it's been said before.
No, it's not. I don't think they did. I think they called it a vibe. Did they even call it vibranium? They called it a composite of vibranium.
I thought they said adamantium in that movie, but who knows?
Maybe they did. I thought they called it titanium composite or something. I don't know.
Could be. Depends on who has the rights.
It was vibranium. Yeah.
There was definitely vibranium in there as well. Anyway, is there any? Let's get into the critical nature of it and rate the movie, not episode. Bring this in here.
Bring up the spreadsheet.
Everyone gets excited for spreadsheets, guys.
Spreadsheets.
No one does a spreadsheet like my cousin Dave.
Yeah.
No, we had it up the other day, and someone's, oh my god, spreadsheets. Well, here you go. It's a spreadsheet. All right. Davan, you're up first. Captain America, Brave New World.
What did I give? What was the last Marvel movie before this?
Movie? Deadpool
in all shows, other than that one.
Then I guess it would have been the Marvels. You gave an 8.
I gave Marvels an 8. That was generous.
Should you go back and look at the review?
Perhaps.
Do you agree with my 7.8? Or do you agree more with Dave's 5?
Somewhere like I would probably call it a 7 now, looking back on it. But this one I'll give an 8. I like it better than them. I like it better than the Marvels, which is why I think maybe I put the Marvels too high.
Well, you liked it at the time, I remember.
Well, Iman Vellani's delightful. Like, she's just delightful.
Yeah, she is. I can say even in person she is.
Yeah, I bet. She just seems like a delight.
Yep. Mine.
You're up.
I would give this a 7.
A 7 from Jaemeel. I'm going 6 for me. It was okay, but like I wasn't blown away.
It was What If Season 2 is what you're saying, Dave?
It was, What If Season 2 is a good comparison in terms of my excitement level for this movie. Which is pretty good considering I wasn't too into it. You talked me into a few things. It has a 5.8 on IMDb. I'm closer to the average, although this is a bit below what I gave.
It's only a 5.8. People are being dicks, man. It was a good. It's
been out for a couple months, so it's not, and that's the rating it's getting. Anything else to say before? Yeah.
So wait, people think What If Season 3 is better than this?
Yeah, that's just stupid.
I enjoyed What If Season.
Friggin' glorious.
I would rather watch What If Season 3 than this, and I gave it a higher rating. So we're all different. It's fun. Okay. We all have different preferences. So anyway, I think that's probably it for this podcast. We're gonna come off the air and we're gonna start up right again to do Daredevil Season 1.
Let's have a 15.
Daredevil Born Again.
Daredevil Born Again. No, Daredevil Brave New World. Is that what it's
Born
called?
Again. Born Again.
Brave New Again.
Brave New Again. All right, so we're gonna be back for Daredevil shortly. Not Brave New
15 minutes. Let's say
we have a 15-minute break and we'll come right back. Don't you dare miss it. And thanks for being with us.
I got lots to say about Daredevil Born Again.
I'm excited to get into that one as well. Just check that out in mere moments, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, with that said, I think we're going to sign off to this afternoon. And thanks to everybody if you've been listening here in the live stream, or you might listen to us on the audio version. Check us out and make sure to like, subscribe, and take it easy, everyone. Be safe. See ya.